The political situation at the close of the War of 1812 favored the expansionist ambitions of the United States and accelerated the popular drive of its citizens to occupy land in the West. The Treaty of Ghent, which ended the War of 1812, eliminated the greatest obstacle to U.S. expansionism. In the treaty, Great Britain accepted the borders of the U.S. and withdrew support for an Indian border state lying between Canada and the United States. Native Americans in Michigan were left to come to terms with the United States on their own. They were destitute, exhausted by the war, and abandoned by their British ally. Violent resistance would only lead to more destruction. They could resist U.S. encroachments violently, or they could try to come to an agreement through which they could hope to preserve their way of life. The Saginaw Chippewa reserved for themselves sections of land within the cession and certain rights to continue living on the ceded territory. It took 13 days to negotiate the treaty. The U.S. Commissioner, Lewis Cass, governor of Michigan Territory, at the opening council on September 12th, made it clear that his government wanted considerable cessions of land from the Chippewa. Ogemagigitu, remembered as a forceful young spokesman of the Chippewa, challenged Cass, informing him that they had assembled to sign a peace agreement and not to surrender land. A second meeting held several days later nearly ended in violence. That the negotiations did not fall apart at this point is attributed by those who have written about the treaty to the intercession of the traders who were present at the treaty, in particular to Jacob Smith, who had strong ties to the Chippewa. Smith's actions behind the scenes are not recorded in great detail, but hint at the complexity of the negotiations. Smith's motives were self-serving, at least in part. Considerable ink has been spilled writing about the alleged fraud that occurred during the negotiations when small reserves were set aside at the Grand Traverse for Smith's white children. The intense negotiations at times left tribal leaders divided. Only after the Chippewa had agreed on what lands they would reserve for themselves did the negotiations move forward. The Ojibwa lost most territory in this treaty. Other tribes with people displaced in the area were the Ottawa and Potawatomi. At the signing on September 24, 1819, Chief Okemos represented the Ojibwa people. Chief Okemos and other Native American chiefs signed the treaty with General Lewis Cass, giving up over 4 million acres of land in what is now southern Michigan to the United States government. The 1819 Treaty of Saginaw marked a low point in the history of the Saginaw Chippewa people and the beginning of decades of hardship. The cultural resurgence that has occurred among the Great Lakes Anishinaabeg in the last half-century could not even have been contemplated at the time. That resurgence is built on remembering, not forgetting, the past. Remembering the past is not the same as celebrating the past. September 24th, 1819, the day the treaty was signed, is not celebrated, but it is remembered.